Hey there. Go ahead and grab a chair. A cold one, sit back, and relax. This is the Fireside Chat-Off.
Welcome everyone to another episode of a Fireside Chat Out. Today we're gonna have an interesting episode as we will be interviewing Astro. And I'm actually very excited about this because of a little payback. Not necessarily payback for my time. That you're asking me. So it's gonna be fun. I'm sure Wildcat will come up with some crazy stuff himself. So I think first of all, as we did with me, first question is always, to get you a little get to know you a little bit better, outside of Pokemon. So give us a little background of like how you grew up, what impacted you to be like the person that you are today.
Oof. I don't think we have enough time.
Yeah, please. You got this.
Yeah. Well, it all started one day in November 1984. It's a small child
God, here we go.
born into the world. No.
Well, I was like, no, don't do
So
it.
I was born and raised in Florida, South Florida, Plantation General Hospital. Grew up in Broward County pretty much my entire life. I lived 2 or 3 years in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. After
the dirty Myrtle. The dirty Myrtle.
after my when from my first marriage, we moved up there and ended up moving back. Let's see. I have 5 kids, 4 of my own and 1 stepson. But I consider them all my kids, so I always say 5.
Yep.
Trying to think. I was married, was divorced, and remarried to Mrs. AstroZombie954, who is absolutely amazing to put up with half the shit that I put her through.
And join you as well too.
Yeah. I would have
recently.
never thought in a million years my wife would be joining me or going on streams to play Pokemon or whatever.
And having higher elos even.
Yeah, well, she used to.
We gotta throw them some shades,
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, growing up, I've always been a nerd, like low key, I guess. But like I've always been into Pokemon. I've always been into like Star Wars, things like that, wrestling. I would say honestly, it sounds very cliche. But my dad was a huge person in my life that would he always said no matter what I do, make sure I'm the best at it. And that was just something, that always stuck with me, whether I was, in a band or at work, here, with the podcast, stuff like that. He always, I remember, the first time we decided to go on tour right out of high school. So this is like 2003. Graduated. We decided to go on tour instead of go to college right away. And it was like almost a full blown like I would say it's like half the US. Like it was the East Coast, maybe like a little into the central. And my mom was like, no. no, you're not doing it. There's no way. There's no way in hell I'm letting you go on tour. Where are you going to sleep? In the van? How are you going to shower? We won't.
We
No.
won't.
How are you going to eat? I don't know. No, 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 no. You're not going to do this. And my dad was like, no, let him do it. It was like the last person I would expect to say to do it. But, you know, he was just like, these are the things that are going to make you who you are later on in life. And, uh, 2 years ago, actually, it's going to be 2 years on the 29th, he passed away, from complications, not from COVID. He was actually recovering, but complications from the blood thinners that they had put him on when honestly they probably shouldn't have. But yeah, it's still it's still really hard. But I say it all the time, like if it wasn't for him, I would not be doing this. This podcast would not be here because I wouldn't have the motivation to do it. I probably would have quit maybe like 10 episodes in. Or I don't even know. But I just always hear him saying, like, if you're gonna do something, like, be the best at it. That's what
I remember you telling me that whenever you first like approached me with the idea of a podcast, and you mentioned that your dad was kind of like one of your motivations to start it. So I still always remember that from one of like the first conversations we had.
Yep.
Yeah, I think your dad had already passed by the time I got involved with the podcast, but I remember, you were telling the story even to me back a while back, the touring thing and how he was so supportive into get you going and doing that. So, did he introduce you to the music you listen to today, or how did you get into becoming, the grunge hard rock scream band that you were part of?
My
Okay.
father absolutely hated everything that I listened to. He hated it. He never understood it. My dad came from Peru in 79, I believe. At that point in time, Peru was very behind the times. It's not how up to date as it is now. So in the 80s, he comes to America in like bell bottoms and like a vest, like very 70-ish disco era. But his music was very much like either, you know, Latin music. He loved disco. He surprisingly was a huge Lady Gaga fan.
Really?
It's very odd. Yep.
Yeah, it's very random, but hey, good taste though.
and Dolly Parton. He was obsessed with Dolly Parton. But he hated the music, but he knew I did. He knew I loved it. I got into my first exposure to punk or like any type of metal. Well, first it was kind of metal. Was my uncle. I spent a weekend with him, and when he was driving me back to his house, which was like an hour away from my house, he put on Metallica's Ride the Lightning and changed my life forever. It was fast, it was heavy, and I was like, what the hell is this? This is amazing. Then I was introduced to Green Day in 5th grade, I believe. when Dookie came out. And that Christmas, I asked my mom for a cassette player and the Green Day Dookie tape, which was actually came on a blue cassette. She had no idea what was on that tape, because I think if she did know what was on that tape, she
She
wouldn't
would-
have bought it.
Of course.
Because
yeah.
at this time, because at that point in time, Green Day wasn't Green Day where it is now. So there was no parental advisory on that Dookie
Oh,
album.
nope. Not at all. I
It
remember.
wasn't. Like, old punk bands and stuff like that didn't get parental advisories because it was so under the radar that they never had to bother with it. So yeah, if she would have bought it, if she knew what was on it, she probably wouldn't have gotten it for me. So that's where it started, and then it just kind of progressed as I went through middle school, and then high school is when I really started finding out like a lot about like the more underground scene, different styles of punk and metal and stuff like that. And that's really where it took off, like probably freshman year.
So you went on tour. What caused you to leave the band? Like, well, first off, those that don't know, our intro song right now is Astro's own band.
One
So,
of my
one-
old
one of your old bands.
one
So,
of
so what caused you to leave music and kind of go in that opposite direction?
I don't want to say I left music. I think I've just gone in a different direction with it, because I still do the music for the show. I still try, and I'm still, learning how to produce and create music on my own. Um, my first band, which was the first one that I ever did on tour, was honestly just stupid, young, idiotic, immature mentality of my drummer's girlfriend and my girlfriend got in a fight. They didn't like each other, which ended up turning into me and him fighting. And I basically told the band it was him or me. Then once they decided, well, we can find another drummer, it's harder to find another singer. I was like, no, I don't want to do this. Dumb for me, because 3 weeks after I quit the band and the band broke up, we got a letter, yes, letter, from a record company called Victory Records, which was at that point, and still is kind of today, a very large record company, involved with like metal and punk and stuff like that. That they wanted us to go on tour as a supporting act for a band that they had just signed called Bleeding Through, which ended up going on to play like Ozfest and stuff like that. We had to politely decline because we were no longer a band. But most recently, with Off the Post, which is the band that does our intro, it just got to a point where I was balancing. So after my dad passed away, I went to help my sister continue the business. I know all the technical sides, the computer stuff, the engineering stuff, how to troubleshoot all the things that go on, where she handles more of the finances and customer facing stuff. But between that and then the podcast and the band, plus 5 kids and my wife, it just turned into like I was just running myself into the ground, and I had to decide what I wanted to do the most. And this was this was where my heart was the most at that point in time, and it still is. I don't ever regret leaving the band. They've messaged me before to see if I ever want to come back. Maybe one day if I get time, it'll
Right.
happen. But this is home. Like this is home for me. It's work. my family. Well, it's my family, work, and then the podcast. Sometimes, and lately, the podcast and family has kind of been blending, which has been awesome. So,
Yeah, which with Miss Astro coming in,
yeah.
which is awesome. Like seeing you guys play. I'm sure like you maybe genuinely enjoyed it a little bit more because she was playing with you too.
Oh yeah, it's
So
been awesome.
Well, with that being said, with next question, I would actually I really don't know this because we always talk about main series games. You always talk about like the next Pokemon game. Like, is there maybe you brought it up once, but is there any other games outside of Pokemon that you genuinely like to play or enjoy?
Yes. So besides the Pokemon series, my other series of games that I was super into was the Uncharted series. When I had a PlayStation, I had all the Uncharted games, played through all of them multiple times. Story was awesome. I loved it. Now that I'm on the Switch, Breath of the Wild Zelda's Breath of the Wild completely blew me away. That game was amazing.
Did you ever finish it?
Yes, I did.
You did?
It took me 3.5 years, but I finished.
Oh shit! That's
Uncharted. Did you watch the movie?
I haven't yet.
It's on Netflix now.
I was gonna say I saw it was on Netflix, and I was like, okay.
Watched it this past weekend with the wife, on Friday night.
My thing is I need to get over him being Spider-Man before I can watch it, because I'm just gonna see Peter Parker.
No spoilers. You don't need to.
Okay. I know from like some of the trailers that I've seen, they do a lot of reenactments from cutscenes of the game, which is cool. I like that. So we'll see. And then like on the Switch, let's see. So there was that. I played through The Witcher. That one was just because I bought it and I tried to return it, and GameStop only was going to give me like $5 for it. So I was just like, well, fuck it, I'll just finish playing.
Might as well just keep it.
Not because it was a bad game, it's just a bad game on the Switch.
No, I get that.
Yeah, but other than that, like I love the Mario sports games. But there's just something about like a Pokemon game that like I just played through Sword and Shield for the second time.
Just because.
Yeah. Well, just because I was an idiot. I've said it on the show. I got a new Switch and didn't realize.
I just love to mention that.
Send everything over to it, and so I had to redo the entire game so that when the new one comes out, I have Pokemon to transfer over if I need to.
That was a funny.
You could have just asked.
I know, but if I don't make mistakes, I don't learn.
This is true. That's
what I teach the kids.
So I guess one more question I would have is, do you, besides music and Pokemon, is there like anything else that you're like passionate about that you like see as a hobby possibly?
I have my sister and my wife joke that I'm a MacGyver of life, because they always say like whatever I do, I'm always pretty good at it, and it's not like something like toot my horn, but like over the past couple years that that Dinho's known me, like I would show him like the logo for something, and he'd be like, "Oh, who did that?" And I was like, "Oh, I did." And he's like, "Wait, what?" Like it's always
literally
like
what?
something new, where, "Oh, you did the music?" Yeah, I did the music. Oh, you came up with that? I guess I was very blessed in that aspect. But I would say outside of Pokemon, and music, I mean music. I would say I don't do it as much, but I love building things. I used to have an extensive collection of Star Wars Legos that
Interesting.
I didn't just build. I went to like Hobby Lobby or Michael's, and I got the plastic cement and literally would glue each piece together so that it wouldn't fall apart. And then when it was done, I would put a coating on it so it would seal it. And like I built like elaborate box frames with lights and all kinds of stuff to display them, and it was intense. And then I moved, and movers did not take care of a lot of
That
stuff.
that
Damn.
that sounds absolutely terrible.
I have a
Oh
Millennium
my
Falcon
God.
that's in 4 pieces.
Oh, God. I do not have the patience for Legos and puzzles and things of that nature. My wife loves them, and I'm like,
Yeah.
She got me this for Christmas one year. It's one of the 3D puzzles.
Yep.
I literally, about halfway through trying to put this together, handed it to her and said, if you don't want to get divorced from me, you'll finish this and not ask me to help and never buy me something like this again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good for you liking to build Legos. 'cause
Yeah.
I don't
Well, I
have
mean,
that patience.
It's like lots of stuff. My mom wanted she bought one of those like fake fireplaces, because in Florida there's no reason to have a real fireplace, but she's from New Jersey, so she still has that, like she still likes to see it. So she bought one of those like fake ones, but the wall she wanted it on was too thin for me to actually mount it into the wall. So I ended up having to build basically like
A
kind of
mantle?
like a mantle, yes, a floating mantle into the wall, um, to put around it. And I mean, it took me a long time, but I enjoyed it. So
Sounds cool.
yeah.
So we know families first, work
Yes.
kind of second, Pokemon third, kind of those can go interchangeably. But let's say Mrs. Zombie came to you and said, "You got the day off. I got the kids. I don't want you to do anything with us. I want you to go take an Astro day. What are you going to do that day?"
Anything, right?
I don't know.
He's like, I have so many ideas.
So many activities. Um, Generally, for the most part, if I get time to myself, um, I really like to just drive. I'm really into audiobooks. Like I have a yearly subscription for Audible. Um, like I'm going through a James Patterson series right now. It's not Alex Cross, it's the Michael Bennett series. And if I take a longer way to work so I can listen to more of it on the way, like to work and home. Not because I don't want to get to work or I don't want to get home, but because I enjoy it. So honestly, like I'd probably just put a book on, drive around, maybe go to a park and catch Pokemon. That's my Zen time. Like that's where I relax the most, is in the car, like with a book and
I can see that.
Pokemon.
That's dope. So I guess with that being said, I don't know, Wildcat, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, I got a couple more I can pass off here.
I thought you guys were gonna get some really hard ones in here.
Look, our people want to know actual Astro. They
Yeah.
know our character, but we want to let them know actual Astro.
There's not much of a difference.
Listen to my interview last week. It's really I'm the same guy, except for if you didn't know, I knew my wife a long time. Hey,
Yeah.
look at there. But I know you, like me, are a huge theme park enthusiast.
Mm-hmm.
If I gave you, unlimited budget, what theme park are you going to? Where are you going in any theme park in the world that you know of? Pick from what you want. What park are you going to?
Ew. It's tough. because I love Disney, but the Universal in believe it's in Japan just opened up that whole Nintendo World.
In Florida, it'll come soon enough. I think it's supposed to open next year in Florida.
But
That's
they're
what I
also
heard, yeah.
opening the Pokemon Land thing, so I guess that would be first.
100%.
I was diehard Disney for a really long time, and then me and the wife took our first. It was our first vacation together since my dad had passed, so it'd been almost 2 years. We went to Islands of Adventure, and we instantly bought annual passes because it was just like, yeah, I love this.
So speaking of your wife, I've recently learned that she really wants to go to Japan. So why haven't you taken her to Japan, Astro?
Next question.
We said no limits, right? So
next question.
It will happen. Our listeners deserve to know.
Listen, yes, it will happen at some point. I would very much like it to be like a show thing, like all of us go.
Oh God, I would kill for that.
But
that would be funny.
It's something that we both that she's mentioned to me. So thanks for bringing it up.
You set it up so perfectly. I couldn't.
I know he was like saying that. Oh,
moving
man,
on.
Okay, I think I'm out of question. I think Dinho, you had one more thing you wanted to handle.
Yes, I did. So I know that we talked about this a little bit on the side. But for the people, can you share again about that funny moment that you had about the American Pie story?
Oh my gosh. I thought you said we weren't going to talk about that.
I'm sorry, I had to bring it up.
You promised me we weren't going to talk about this.
I'm sorry. It just, people deserve to know.
This was Wildcat's idea, wasn't it?
Look, you tried to play it off as if it was me, and Dinho and I both knew you were trying to deflect your embarrassment, so we wanted to make sure that you could own up to it and feel better about yourself.
Well, we're at a 27-minute mark, and Matthew gets mad if we're over 25 minutes, so maybe there'll be a part 2 where
he'll get over it.
He'll be fine, Just, another minute.
I love it. I love it. There was never a pie incident. For those who are wondering what the whole pie thing was, is I came up with this great idea to whenever we interview somebody before we ended the interview is to ask them, have they ever done an American Pie? And Dinho had no idea what it was.
No, I didn't. Until you showed me the GIF, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
No, definitely no.
Wait, he showed you the what? Hold on. What did he show you?
What?
That's how Hispanic people say it.
The GIF, yeah. That's how we say it.
It's not peanut butter, damn it.
What you mean? I'm saying it in Latino way,
Yeah, that's it.
And
I'm gonna put it on record, so it's here. Because I know there's a lot of hate that goes on towards me about me saying that I am Hispanic. My full official name on my birth certificate is Christopher Javier Ruiz. My father is from Peru. I was raised more Latin than I was American. I just cannot speak
it. That makes no sense to me.
And what's that date of birth and social while we're at it?
By all means, take my information. Have fun. No. Basically, so the way it was my mom is from New Jersey. She's straight up white, like white girl.
Is she Jersey?
Jersey.
Jersey.
big hair jersey, says Wooder, like Scrapple jersey. Yeah.
Wow.
When my dad was a very big believer in This Is America, and I don't want to get political or anything like that, but I'm just telling you how it was explained to me from him. This is America. In the United States of America, you speak English. If you go to Peru, no one's trying to speak English for you. If you go to a restaurant, no one's going to try and the waiter is not going to try and speak English to you. You're going to have to try and communicate with them in Spanish. So there'd be plenty of times where we would go to Peruvian restaurants and we would have to be like, Dad, you can see she's having a hard time getting this. Like, just talk to her in Spanish. And he's like, fine, I'll do it. Plus, he also didn't want us to be able to basically backtalk my mom in Spanish and her not understand what we were saying.
That is fair.
Right.
I'd never even considered it, but that's fair.
Yeah. So he just never really taught us. I'm sure he regretted it later on in life. I know my grandma, would yell at him consistently. But like Aria, my daughter, she's gonna be bilingual. Like Stephanie talks to her in Spanish more than she talks to her in English. So, because we promised him he'd have one grandchild that spoke Spanish.
That's awesome.
Awesome. That's
Awesome
a
stuff.
nice place to end.
Yeah, that was
There we go.
nice. Well, Astro, thank you for letting us
Nope.
interview you and get to know you a little bit better.
No problem.
It was really awesome to know these little things I actually didn't know about you myself. Even though I've known you for almost 2 years, maybe 2 years already.
And there's still so much more.
There really
There's
is.
still
There really is.
there's
But
so
we
much
don't.
more. I'm like
you
an
don't-
onion.
I mean, like honestly, we
I'm making
could like.
waffles.
I'm like an onion.
I'm like surprised it doesn't go for longer, but
Layers. Oh, I could.
I know. No.
It would take like 2 hour. I could do a 2 hour one of these on
Yeah,
just my
you have
life.
to wake up.
But it's
when-
late and we're sleepy, so
But yeah, so thank you everyone for listening. Again, Astro, awesome getting to know you.
Yep.
So with that, another fireside chat out has come and gone. Until next time, good night, good luck, and get good.
Thank you for listening to the Fireside Chatot, and until next time, good luck and get good.